it's two-sided. You've got both sides, but there's only been, I would say 3 to 5 if.
3 to 5, but there's been a couple who said they're calling on behalf of it.
Okay. So how many, roughly, I don't need an exact number, but roughly how many houses are we talking about between the two of them? Is it, I think it's like 120-ish? Would that be about right?
I think so. I bet you
Not a big
they might
area.
even be able to answer that better. I should know that. I just don't have the accumulative, the number. It's not that many. I know that for a particular homeowner, I think it felt a little frustrating for her, the 75%, that it seemed a little unreasonable, but that's documented.
That's
Yeah.
CCNRs.
So I did explain that to her. It was a really good question, and I just let her know that was document written.
So then my question is this, okay, so let's round it and say it's 100 houses. Putting out a vote for and then also against, where they get to obviously choose between the sort of the two, at least then everyone gets a vote on it. Everyone responds.
You can do a vote before the board would make a decision.
I'm just wondering whether or not the expense, the question is.
So do we know that though? Do we know yet? Like, does this have to be something where we'd have to pay vote HOA and like choose that amount, or do they just have to come and sign a petition in the office, or like, do we know that information yet? What cost would this incur?
Cost, I don't know. We would do a mailing to each homeowner, and most certainly if it's something that the board agrees that they don't mind these tracts doing, it's going to be the legal cost to have the documents drawn up. I can try to get a guesstimate from Carpenter Hazelwood, of course mailing to each homeowner, and then happy to do whatever reminders and stuff that we would need to for those communities, because obviously if you're going to make effort on it, we'd want to do whatever we could do to help as well. But it would just be the drafting. It would be the cost to probably file an amend.
And we're specifically talking about having RVs parked on a lot. Is there anything else that they're trying?
I think it might be trailers too. I think a horse trailer, an animal.
Is already covered.
Yeah, those are covered, but even those are supposed to be screened as well.
Yes.
They're not supposed to be visible either. So it just gives way to RVs. Am I naming it all? Motorhomes. I mean, I don't know. I don't own one.
Large vehicle type
Well,
structures.
And that's the
You
thing.
do have a couple of homes that have tiny homes in the backyard.
The lot size, you mean?
No, they've literally
They've
parked.
built like a tiny
Tiny
house.
homes, have you seen? Yes.
No, tiny homes.
That you pull behind your trailer.
Like they're actual houses that you can live
It's
in.
a house.
TV show.
There's a TV show.
Yeah. It looks like a shed, but it's tiny.
But it's a house.
Well, and that would be a board, this is something this is probably where you want to hear from the homeowners in those particular tracts. What is it that they want to see happen with their large lots, right?
And that's kind of my question is that if you've only got two people that have a problem with the RV and everybody else is sort of happy and, it's only RVs that are the question. I don't want to go out and do this and we do it for, let's just say, RVs, and everyone's like, well, you forgot about trailers with dune buggies. We do this once, we do this, if we do this once.
What if, I think that we would probably be able to have the capabilities of extracting those homeowner addresses so that we can just send to those tracts. We could mail something out, or if we could figure out how to email. I just would be afraid we'd miss people if we were emailing, if we want to get a true number. And then, it might be something that we manage a little differently than we do other projects. It might be some phone calls to homeowners if we're not hearing from them, so that we can get, a better count of what they want. But then we probably need to hear from them what specifically they're interested in parking on.
Yeah, I don't want to go out for a vote and say, yes, we're behind and the board agrees about RVs, and that's not what they're concerned about at all. I don't want us to make a decision for them.
Right, that's so.
Yeah.
For me, it's gonna come out, I mean, I would like to know the cost incurred because we are the board over 6,071 homes, not just the 100 people living, that's a very small percentage. And so if the cost is large, it's not fair to burden the entire community with the cost for something like that.
Well, we won't.
But I would want to know the cost of trying to make this happen, or at least the ballpark. But then, yeah.
Would
I
you
mean,
be opposed, as a board, would you be opposed to having us extract these addresses, work on as many email addresses as we have, and utilize Vote HOA now, because they can do the survey to the homeowners, and that way you would have a better idea at a lesser cost rather than the attorney fees to write something
What about,
not knowing what they really want,
what about just a snail mail letter? If it's 100 homes times 50 cents.
and have them mail it back. I'm okay with that,
Or
whatever you
drop it
want
off
to
and
do.
mail it back. I mean, certainly they
Something
can
to
make
get the
sure, because
information.
well, the only problem I have with this email is if you don't have an email address, you are not going to get.
Well, and that's the thing, is if there wasn't, we would be mailing specifically to someone who didn't, but I like the idea of a hard copy.
even if they do have an email, you guys send out a lot of emails, and they go to my promotions folder, and they go to my other one, and I see 1-2 weeks later, and I mean, that's on me, but I mean, it's still, that's how email works. And so I feel like you might
And
end
if you
up.
think about it, we were saying 50 cents and we're saying 100 homes. We don't know, first of all, it's 100, it could be 60 homes, and it's definitely not 50 cents. So we're still looking under $500, let's be real about it, in a multi-million dollars, to find out if this is even worth. I don't want to get the lawyer involved because he's way more money.
Yeah.
$500 to find out if this is worth it to go forward to me.
Because I think they should be able to, what do they say, write their own destiny, I mean,
Express themselves.
Yeah,
That's where the
with,
documents allow for that.
yeah, and within reason, if we're saying the documents allow for that, then that's an opportunity for them to speak their piece and to write their own destiny, and that's great. But not if it's at a huge cost to the rest of the community. That's where I'm gonna have a
So
problem.
can we send a letter that asks each of those homeowners
Can we send a letter that asks each of the homeowners in those 2 tracts what exactly it is they're looking for, and then we'll get a written response and be able to tally that up and know exactly what we're looking to do for them,
Yeah.
and if we can.
Yeah. I
With
think
no
that's good.
guarantees.
I think, yeah.
If I'm reading the assessor map correctly, it's 40 houses in one tract and 35 in the other.
Yeah.
So
That
70.
sounds right. Okay. So, Bob, Tim, input?
The only thing, it's kind of different, is if it ends up being RVs parked in the back, I want to make sure that we have in the write-up that they can't live in it. I'm concerned, are they living in this
That
little
tiny
house?
house,
I mean, I'm very, very concerned.
That was a long roundabout discussion.
But it
Took us
could
a couple of
happen.
months to get through it. It could happen.
Let's just, but I've seen it.
Because those tiny homes don't use normal plumbing, they use,
holding
no,
Recycling.
compost?
composting, thank you.
I mean, and
So there are ways to get around it. Yes, if I was in Equestrian, I could live in my motorhome, you'd never know it.
Yeah, but that's the
And-
same,
and that's
the
why-
thing. I
And
like
that's what we're trying to keep out
prevent
of.
something like that.
Right.
There's no,
that would be in the
potentially
document.
no issue in storing something. I have a real issue in.
Exactly,
I
exactly.
mean, even right now, they can store it, they just have to build a garage around it.
Okay,
So that doesn't really change, I mean, they can still keep their RV on their lot, they just have to put a home over it.
And again, we're not saying at the moment what the design will be, or what the document will say. We haven't decided if we're going to put a shed over the RV, or if we're going to allow them not to. That all comes a little bit
The current
later.
CCNRs, that's what they say, if you're gonna park it, you have to have something over it.
But we again can be more restrictive, not less restrictive than the CCNRs.
Yeah, but what this would do is rewrite the CCNRs for those tracks. Right. That's what this
For
would
that
do.
portion,
Exactly, that portion
I
only.
think it has to be clear in the letter. It's just
Yeah.
for that,
Just for
that
Sterling.
track. They can't
Well,
change anything else in the general CCNRs.
And I think it's also important to let people know that obviously these are, the reason we're having this discussion is these lots are way bigger than anybody
Anything
else has probably, unless you are in that area. These are 1 acre lots
Yeah.
traditionally.
And Tim, what covers what your statement you just made is the tract will be listed on the amendment. And then, Bob, to your point, those things can be written in. The attorney's done this many times.
Thank you.
Okay, Ford, anything else on this? Okay, so what we want to, well, what we want is for Robin to, or and her team to create a letter asking for feedback from those 70, however many houses, and you'll mail it to them, and then.
I'll run it by the board. Or
Yeah.
by the board first, yeah.
Yeah, and we'll mail it to them, get their feedback, and then at that point, we can decide if we want to actually give them the chance to do this, and we'll
Let's
get
give them
costs on
30
attorneys.
days to respond once we've sent it out. So if it takes you a week to get it or whatever, then think 30 days or so out. Give a week for mailing, and then 30 days from that.
All
Does
right,
that sound like 30 days, guys?
Can deal with that.
Whatever Rob says.
75 words, that's
reasonable,
not, that's more than generous.
Yeah.
okay, all right, so you get 2 minutes if anybody wants to speak on that. Yes.
I lived in that structure. I think there's like 35 homes there. I'd be glad to volunteer. If you guys write something, I'd take it to every house and get a yes or no on it and bring it all back to you. You would have to mail it or anything.
We need to do this the proper way, I think, don't we?
Yeah,
Yeah.
for this.
You get a better response that way. I could check every house off in the whole subdivision.
Yeah, but, you know, we can't have homeowners taking on that type of liability on behalf of the HOA. You know, if you get hurt on the property or something like that, and then, you know, are you gonna check their IDs and verify that they are the homeowner? You have no way of checking that the person you spoke to actually owns the home and doesn't rent it or isn't a family member, et cetera, et cetera.
And we'll get signatures. But thank you.
But yes, thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, I really
That way,
do.
all you really have to do is write it, and I'd get it all back.
We get that. We do appreciate
Yes, we do.
constructive, positive.
Anyone else? Yes.
Prior to the new board, there's a couple people up there, and one of the questions I asked is, you need to get out into the public, and I'm one of the people that live in Sterling Ranch. And here it is, a year or so ago later, and we're still talking about the same stuff. Instead of working about the community, we're worried about this and that. Make a law. You got 1 year to abide by these, or whatever you want to write up. I mean, I've been here 3 years, almost, and when I bought my house, even before I bought it, I seen the rules and regulations that were abided by this community. And then when you talk about the realtor, or well, this said this guy, oh, I talked to a neighbor, and the neighbor told me, he said, oh, I talked to this person, it's a bunch of malarkey. A year and 3 months. And then I've been hearing some stuff about some other stuff going on with the HOA management company and whatever, and politicians. You got people here that are still surviving, still struggling, no jobs, or lost a job and got a job but not as good. And we're talking about finding people and all that. So here you are, a year and 3 months later, and these people that we voted in aren't going out and reaching out.
You have 30 seconds.
Pardon?
You have 30 seconks left on your 2 minutes.
Why, don't they roll over
30 seconds.
from past meetings? Well, that's what you told me the last time I was here.
You can't roll it over.
Oh, well, then, there you go. That was enough.
Thank you for your input. All right, anyone else? Yes.
I live in Equestrian Manor, and we bought our house 4 years ago. I went to the HOA, and they told me they did not have a copy of the CCRs that had to do with just Equestrian Manor. They gave me a generic one, but they said that it didn't apply. I made sure that we could keep a travel trailer there, also a horse trailer. They said there was no problem. The whole time we've lived there for the last 4 years, we've had our travel trailer abiding by what we thought was the rules. They told us as long as it just was not seen from the front yard, that we didn't have any issues. It wasn't anything that our realtor told us, it was what the HOA had told us. And I know just by going around our neighborhood, because we're around there all the time, there are at least a minimum of 20 people that have RVs or travel trailers in their yards where they're completely visible now. They're in their backyards, which is, you know, completely fine. But we bought those 1 acre lots with the assumption from even asking the HOA that we could do that. And we weren't trying to do anything wrong or change anything, we just thought that's what we were getting when we did it. And we spent a lot of money for these homes. You know, I understand your concern with people living in them, but they could also do that if you put them in a garage too, you know. But I don't think that, I know us and any of the neighbors that I know, that's not their intent at all, is to have anybody to live in them. We just want to be able to store them. We don't want them to be eyesores or inconvenient for anybody. And we definitely don't want it to cost money for anybody for this to do this. But we do live where we don't have parks. We don't have the pool access. If our kids are, we have to get in the car and drive. We have nothing in our community. This is pretty much what we get. And we understand that, and we're not complaining. We're just saying that we just like the right to be able to keep our things in the backyard, and we'll obey by, you know, of course, we don't want to do anything that would cause any eyesores or anything for anybody else. You know, I mean, we pay very good money for our homes, and we want to keep the area nice too, but it's a huge turn on for people to know that they buy a 1 acre lot, they have this big RV gate, and then they're not allowed to store their, you know, their travel trailer. And, you know, I get, we don't have multiples, it's just a matter of just, we want to be able to park our travel trailer, you know, at our homes. And there's many other homes in the communities around that I've noticed that do the same thing, so.
The only thing I'm gonna say on that, the CCNRs are for everyone, all 6,071 homes, and I apologize that you were given poor information.
Well, we can
And
have
there's
courses. and
There's
we
a
have the
reason
RV
that we have a
garages.
new management company, I'll just leave it at that. But we absolutely hear you, so please
But we
make
are-
sure you follow up with that letter that you're gonna get, since you live over there, and voice that.
But we are different, because, you
Yeah.
know.
And
we
there's
had-
sections
we're the only ones
within
have
that-
the RV garages
That
and things like
CCNR thing has specific sections that speak to your differences, and in that section is where we're getting the information that you have to cage, or, you know, garage those RVs. So I do apologize that you were given the wrong information when you moved in 4 years ago.
And then even
They're
in the
gone.
last 4 years, nobody's ever said anything to us.
Yeah, that's why our new eyes, it's taken us a while to say, yeah, you know, if that's what the research is showing, it took them a while to get us the
Why?
research, so.
Why?
Why what?
Why? You get a new HOA company and then they do all this. They don't do
But it's
nothing.
not different.
They don't
They're
do
just
nothing-
enforcing
they don't
what's
do
already
nothing
been
good
there.
for you. All they do is got problems, like a condo.
Well,
place.
that's
That's it.
neither here nor there, but we're
Well,
just enforcing what's
that's
always
it.
been there.
Can I ask if anybody's complained about the fact that we do that?
Yes.
Somebody that lives in.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Somebody that lives in our neighborhood is
Yeah.
complained?
So, all right, any other homeowners on this topic? Okay, so we don't need to vote on that because it was just information. We will move on. New business action item, call for landscape committee members. We had a landscape committee member who can no longer attend meetings due to the change in schedule. And so management just needs our approval to go out and request for candidates. So I
Okay.
entertain a motion.
I make a motion to request management to go out to the community for the open landscaping committee position.
Second.
All right, Bob, input.
Nothing, we're good.
Tim?
Yeah, we need to get a member.
Okay, Michelle? Okay, yep, we gotta do it. Anything, Allison, Tony? All right, homeowners? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor? All right, how quickly can you send that call for candidates out? You should still have everything. We just did the charter, so everything should be fresh.
I will, as quickly as I can.
Okay, so be looking, if you're interested, be looking or reach out and let us know that you're interested in serving in that role. All right, so now, motion passed 6-0. Review of action items from tonight's meeting. Okay, continuity plan passed, we will get it on the website as soon as possible, then the document that's for the HOA and management company, obviously you guys have files for that, it'll be saved as necessary. Sterling and Equestrian, you're going to send out a letter to those homes
To us
and,
first. to
well,
us
yeah,
first.
we'll approve it, but we're gonna send out a letter, you're gonna comprise a letter for us to review, we'll send it out, and then we'll go from there. And then you're gonna get a call for candidates out for the landscape committee, but feel free to share that we are looking, and you can apply even before you get that email if you would like. Board, anything to add for action items that I missed? All right, we're good.
That's good.
Okay, so we will open up for open forum. A reminder to everyone that, okay, there you go. So, Michelle's gonna keep time, you'll have 3 minutes to speak, you're gonna hand me those. Open forum is a privilege, not a right, so please behave and be not, respectful, not hostile, or name calling, that kind of stuff will not be allowed. All right, so I have them in the order that you guys brought them up. We will go through them. You'll have 3 minutes to speak. The board may or may not choose to respond. Most cases, we don't. And yep, that should be it. So, Mike Hendricks, you will address the board, and it has to do with parking in equestrian. Go ahead.
My name is Mike Hendricks, I live at 31556 North Sunflower Way. I lived there over 12 years plus. I've always parked my motor home in the back. Before I bought my house, I went to the HOA and asked them, they said there was no problem parking it there. We never had a problem, we got this new HOA people. And I don't understand why after 12 years, we have this problem. And then I went in, after I got the letter, I went in and talked to Robin, and her last comments was, what's the big deal? Just pay $75,000, $100,000 and have an RV garage built. If I'm retired, I don't have $75,000 to build one. And
So-
that's exactly what you said.
I would
Yes, that's what
ask
you
that
said.
you do not put words in my mouth.
Well, you said that.
I did not say that.
Oh, well, that's what you said.
Thank you for your input. Anything else with your time?
No, that's it. I don't understand why all of a sudden. You know, the only thing you guys do is go in the front, and if you got a weed, you write it up. Anything you ask to do anything, you say, no. You know, we live, you guys, we don't have no common areas, no nothing. And then you have a problem with RVs.
We have to enforce the CCNRs
Yeah.
equally. That's what I'll say. And the last management company not doing that is not precedence to no longer to follow the law. So, and the CCNRs are our local law.
And I'll do bad. She can say, put words in her mouth. She did say that.
All right, Emily Harberther. Okay. And then you're gonna address us as well. Okay.
Yes, pretty much the same thing I said before. We just want to be able to have, and we totally agree that this, we feel like that should probably be amended so that it doesn't come up again or is wasting any more time anymore for what we've done. The only reason we brought up is that, we did try to go and do the right thing to make sure that it was approved before we could buy it. I've learned a lot now. I know that I should have made sure that I got it in writing, but since it's been so many years and so many people in our neighborhood do have their travel trailers and motorhomes or whatever, we'd really like to be able to have this looked at farther, and whatever it be. And I also have a question to know, so if when you say it needs to be 75%, is that 75% of the people that vote, or what if there's, what if people just
So
choose
if you're in
not to
like
vote?
the 35 number, you need 75% of the 35 homes.
So even if people just choose not to vote, or they don't
Yeah.
get a hold of us?
So talk to your
That's
neighbors
kind
if
of
you
hard
care.
Because, some people leave town.
I know.
Because there is so few of us.
But yeah, that's written into the documents. It's not
Well,
something
can
we
it
have
just be
authority
that we
over.
make sure that we have a response from the
So
board?
you can go talk to your neighbors as much as you want and encourage them to vote as much as you want, but we cannot. But you can. So yeah, if you're passionate about it, like anything else you're passionate about, and you need a vote on it.
Well, we just can't afford to pay to park somewhere else. That's our big thing. It's very expensive to do that, and I feel like just as long as we do it respectfully, it should be something that's allowed.
Yeah, I would. Anytime anyone's passionate about anything, I encourage you to
I just
rally
want
the
to know
troops.
the right way to do it,
Yeah.
and it's respectful to everybody, and
Yep.
that we can get the best way, what we need, because we don't want to be in violation in
Yeah.
any way.
No, you talk to your neighbors as much as you want.
And like we said, I think any one of us would be happy to put in a coverage of some kind if we could afford to do it.
Thank you. All right. Hold on. Ron, I believe it is your turn.
30-second drive, a minute.
3 minutes.
3 minutes.
3 whole minutes.
Okay.
Starting,
Michelle will give you a notice with
ready, set, go.
I can understand some of these people that have had a problem with these trailers or whatever it might else be, because I talked to April Robbins, right-hand man, left-hand lady, or whatever you want to say, earlier today, and I brought up something, and she said, well, I never heard of that before. And my God, I walk around the back in the wash, around where the telephone tower is and stuff like that, and you hear somebody get rode up about a tree being over a wall, and some of this other stuff I see back there is just like, what are we picking on people here? I don't understand it. You know, and I can understand because you gotta put yourself in the position of where everybody else has been. Because we've all been in somebody, you know, down and out, better than others and so forth. Overlook it. If that trailer starts looking like junk, you gotta get rid of it. Because if it stays out in the sun, it's gonna ruin it eventually. So, to help, I mean, as being a Sterling Ranch resident and going down deep and thinking with my heart about this, work with these people. These people want garages, but they don't want their trailers outside. They can't afford it. They can't afford a $50,000 or $80,000 or $100,000 garage. This stuff has been going on long enough. It needs to be stopped now. We need to be worried about other stuff because there's a couple people on this board that probably heard this stuff before. And nothing's been done. And you know, and you talk about it and they say, we'll keep it in consideration. I know there's one fellow up there that did live up to one of his obligations when he ran for the board. Other than that, I haven't seen anybody. Nobody. And all they're worried about is, oh, you can't have this, you can't have that, or I'm going to fine you for this, or I'm going to fine you for that. I didn't move here for that.
30 seconds.
I'm done. Give it to somebody else.
Thank you. All right. Okay, Deb, you are up. 3 minutes. Please.
3.5 minutes.
No, it's not transferable.
Oh.
Yeah, it's non-transferable. I'm sorry. We're not the Senate. You can't yield your time.
I should be way less than,
Ready?
I should be
Go.
way less. The area in between homes where it's kind of curved off and it's I don't know, not a right of way. but there's-
Drainage?
Yeah, in some cases it's drainage. In some cases, like in my property, I'm in Greens, one. And it's towards the canal, there's view fencing, you know, and I guess they can go out that way or whatever it is. Full of weeds. Who's responsible for that? Because I keep needing to call and put in a thing, I've taken pictures, and I never think about it, but I was driving by it today, and I was just like, they're not weeds that, you know, I don't understand if you're going through it. I took a picture a month ago, and, you know, now the weeds are even higher. So who's responsible for that? Do I call and put in a work order? Because it's ridiculous that no one's caught that by this
Not the
time.
county. It's us, not the county.
I have to.
Well, put in a work order so we can look and
Okay.
find out who
That's
it
where
is.
it is, yeah.
Yeah.
Like
Because they have the
between
map.
the houses, there's, you know,
Yeah, I know
there's
she's
some
talking
curbing
about
and
it.
everything, and I guess people can drive up to it and go through the gates. It used to be when I first, because I've lived here since the beginning of time, and it used to be, they were actually open, and they quit giving up. No, yeah, Silver Bullet and Cowboy Cove. There's at the head of that.
There's also one at Appalachian, I know what you're talking about, it's in
Yeah.
between two houses.
Yeah.
It's not exactly a wash because it's not burned.
This is
It is
not,
just
yeah.
flat and it's got rocks, big rocks, just
No,
to
no.
stop people just a couple of them to stop people from
Not
driving.
this particular one,
Not
there are
that one,
some.
but there
there
are
some in
some.
some areas.
They're just flat areas with dirt/stone with a fence. Go take a look at Appalachian.
I
Take a
wrote
look at
Silver
that.
Bullet and Cowboy Cove.
Yeah.
Appalachian, Greens 1, it backs onto the whole of the canal.
Yeah.
There's
And it's
3.
big, I think, you know, or
Yep, I know
whatever.
exactly.
Silver Bullet and Cowboy Cove in between houses leads to canal.
Silver something, it's the head of the street, right?
That's the one
You
she's
know, looking towards the
specifically
rise.
talking about.
There's 3 U-shapes. When you go into the greens, there's 3 different U-shapes that go. It's the top of the U-shapes that back up onto the canal. That's what she's talking about.
Yeah.
If you want, I can point them out exactly.
So we will have them research and
And I'll
determine.
send an email so that it'll be official. I'll send it when I get home.
Perfect. Anything else on that?
No,
Okay.
done.
You've got,
Over a minute left.
percent of homeowners who have emails?
Yeah, a couple months ago, I asked the question, you talk about how much email plays a part in this community and communication. And my point was, well, how many homes do you have emails for? And I think a couple people said, and when I say people, I mean board members, because, you guys had agreed, that, well, that would be a good thing to know. So I'm wondering if we've got anywhere with that, or if it just,
No, Jen, when the constant contact went out today, Connect, did it give you a final number on emails just on that?
I didn't sense it.
not on emails, because there's 2 to a house sometimes. How many homes do you have emails for? So you can have 6,000 emails, but you
Yeah.
might only have.
I don't have that
1,200
number.
homes.
I'd have to figure out, number one, when to find time to do that percentage for 6,071 homes.
But here's the thing, you guys made this a point when we were talking about Sterling and Equestrian, how you can't really trust email to make sure that the people who need to see it are gonna see it, but yet that's basically what you're stating, or not stating, what you're betting on for our election, that everybody's gonna see the email.
Well, we do mail out the postcard so that
You know,
every single
you do
person
it
gets it.
once.
Yes.
One. Did you do one for the candidates? Like night?
It had that on it, it was on the postcard.
It was on the email?
Yeah, it was on the postcard.
Yeah, we got yesterday. Did you get it yesterday? Okay. I don't remember getting it, so, you know.
I don't know when mine came.
Yeah, so it's just the point that I think you need to mail more, and I think you need to find time to figure out how many people you're contacting when you send an email. Because, again, I've got, I think, 3 emails with you, and I don't mind getting things in triplicate, it doesn't bother me. But I have 6 emails, I've given you 3 of them over time. I know my mother gets one, so there's 4 emails in my house alone that you're getting, so if you count that, you know, just my point.
I'll see what I can come up with on that. And as far as mailing goes, of course, that's a board decision. That does come out of homeowner
Everyone's
pockets.
I know,
So,
but it's worth it. I think at some point, I can't remember who I was talking to years ago, we had a fund for the elections and everything that, I don't know, $20,000-$30,000 was towards mailing. You know, and, I mean, I'm just saying, it's a very important thing. We barely get enough votes. If you look at, we get 1,200 votes, I think, last year, and we have 6,000 homes. Sad. How many people showed up last night? Sad.
I do.
I'm done.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so next we have Brad Roberts, and I want to clarify for you, there is no proxy speaking, and the statute that you're stating is not correct, does not apply in this situation. Like I said before, open forum is a privilege, so I will give you your 3 minutes, and I would be willing to give you a little extra time, but we are about to the maximum time, and we do have one person that also submitted something that would like to speak and that is physically present. And so the people physically present can speak, those who are not have to come to a meeting or send an email.
So I'm perfectly fine deferring, but we'll go ahead and review Arizona Revised Statute 33-1804. First sentence is a compound sentence, a little bit confusing, so as I read along I did highlight parts of the open meeting law, which is very critical and germane to us.
Now, let me ask you a question. Is this the one specifically under the HOA statutes, or is this
Yes.
the open meetings law?
This is under HOA statute.
Because there is 2 very different statutes pertaining to open meetings.
This is the one.
Okay.
Yes, and you actually have this exact wording
On the-
laminated on the back table.
Yep.
So it starts off with notwithstanding any provision in the declaration, bylaws, or other documents to the contrary, all meetings of the members association and the board of directors and any regularly scheduled committee meetings are open to all members of the association or any person designated by a member in writing as the member's representative, and all members or designated representatives so desiring shall be permitted to attend and speak at an appropriate time during the deliberations and proceedings. The board may place a reasonable time restriction on those persons speaking during the meeting, but shall permit a member or member's designated representative to speak once after the board has discussed a specific agenda item, but before the board takes formal action on that item, in addition to any other opportunity to speak. For you to not allow me to speak for the other people who have properly given you permission in writing and the forms have been submitted per practice, that will be a violation of the open meeting law, first sentence, first tenant.
Where is there in writing? Did you receive it?
The emails that I shared with you.
Place reasonable restrictions on those persons speaking.
This is what we give you opportunity to do on each agenda item. Open forum is not something we are legally required to even have.
In addition to any other opportunities to speak. So those people have exercised their right. They're out of town. They're unavailable. They want their comments heard. They have provided me with written authorization. If you are going to deny me, you are violating open meeting law.
Well, we have consulted our attorney, and the attorney has advised us, and you are welcome to proceed as you wish, but you have how many minutes? 52 seconds.
Plus another 3.
So the last thing I guess we'll say, because I've got a whole slew of important things, is the CC&R state, and I don't have time to give it to you in writing, but you should know it. All repairs and other work done to site or structure requires advance pre-approval, or you face the $250 fine. If your garage door will not close and you get that repaired without pre-approval, the fine applies. If your roof is leaking and you repair it without approval, the fine applies. If you spring a water leak, the fine applies. If you trim your bushes, if you mow your grass. Our CC&R state that very clearly, and I've got it in writing, but you're not going to permit me to share it. And I asked, when's the time to share this? And you said, tonight. And I got people who want me to share it, and you're telling me I can't, in violation of the open meeting law.
You've got 3 minutes. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. You have 3 minutes.
To speak on behalf of
All right, and let me
whoever
get to
you
that
choose.
documentation.
No, I told him I would allow him an additional 3 minutes to discuss whatever for all this pile. And then we need to move on to the other person who's physically present tonight, and
Which
then the
I'm
meeting's
happy to
over.
let them go first.
Well,
Okay, so here we have, in the CC&Rs, very, very clearly, and in the letter dated January 8th, which I assume you're all very familiar with, I've highlighted 3 spots. And it talks to how all alteration, repairs, changes, or other work in any way alter the exterior appearance of any part of a lot or improvements on the lot. And if you're telling me that trimming bushes does not alter the appearance of the lot, or that mowing the grass does not alter the appearance of the lot, then I'm going to ask why we require bushes to be trimmed and grass to be mowed. I've got that one right here. And here it is in the actual CC&Rs in overview, where again it emphasizes site, not just the building. So you have told us there will be strict enforcement of very bad CC&R design guidelines. And my message is we need to first fix the design guidelines, providing homeowners more control and while protecting the community appeal without this tyrant mentality. And if you look in Merriam-Webster's dictionary, definition number 2 of Merriam-Webster Dictionary on tyranny, it talks about an oppressive government. And when I cannot trim my bushes without pre-approval, in my book, that's pretty oppressive.
Thank you.
I wish I could continue. I've got a long list.
Well, you have 45 seconds should you choose to use it.
All right, let's go to the next one.
And you can always send an email to Robin with instructions to forward to the board on anything else, as well as any of these people who couldn't be present.
All right, so this. All right, let's start this one.
You got 45 seconds?
Yeah, it's going to be real tough. I'll give it to you in writing. There are monsters and morons in the mix. Shortly, we will learn which is which. Who is which? A home is essential for humans to have good health. A house becomes a home when the occupants have the freedom to personalize it without needing outside permission for every change. As a landlord, my wife and I emphasize to the families to personalize the house, hang things on the walls, decorate the rooms, and in return they have pride and pleasure. They take better care of the house. They are better renters and better members of their neighborhood. It's a smart thing to do. With this last move, the board has declared war on all 6,000 homes in HOA. You're taking the home away. You're reverting them back to houses. It's not a good move.
Thank you. All right, Bill Meeks, you are next. I will read it.
Where is this one?
He wrote it.
He wrote it?
Yeah. All right, wall repair funding. You've asked that we read it on your behalf, which is fine. Question A, is it anticipated that the wall repair project will result in master assessment increases, or is it too early to know? And B, if the repair money comes from reserve accounts, how will the reserves be replenished? Simple answer, it's too early to know, but we did put a portion of it into the budget when we did the budget back in October, November. We did put some in there, pre-planning, knowing that this was going to come. Once we have the full audit, we will have a lot more dollars. What do you call it? Red or elephant or something?
It's a red box or it's an
Yeah.
elephant.
And so once we know that, then we'll know about the increase. I mean, I'm personally just gearing up mentally that, we might see a little bit, but we won't know, and we'll get into that come budget season. And what, June, July is our estimated wall audit completion date, so we should have a lot more information on that by then. If the repair money comes from the reserve accounts, it would probably be very little compared to what it's going to cost, because we have a little bit allocated, but not enough for what this is going to be.
Traditionally, there's a little allocated for reserve, because all the reserve studies have indicated that these should be permanent fixtures. It turns out they're not permanent fixtures in terms of the way the builder built Johnson Ranch, as well as some of the neighboring facilities.
And that's another thing that when we get our new reserve study, we'll have, as a board, have to discuss how much we want to plan for in the future as well. But if we were to, whatever we pull out of the reserve gets replenished via the whole reserve process of budgeting for replenishing the reserve, so that it's always getting replenished a little bit every month until you spend it, and then it continues. But we would not be pulling out of reserve the full amount because it's not in the reserves. So we'll have to fund it another way. So.
And that's me.
Okay.
And so to further elaborate, the initial estimate, we don't know.
We don't know.
But I mean, it could be anywhere in the millions of dollars.